Good to be with you, Greg.
Let me put up on the screen the bottom line from the November 2007 National Intelligence Estimate. We judge with high confidence, mind you, that in the fall of 2003, Tehran halted its nuclear weapons program. Was that NIE assessment wrong?
No, I don't think so. I think most of the evidence supports this position, and you heard Leon Panetta as recently as a couple of weeks ago reaffirm the conclusion. Now, is there disagreement? Yes, there's disagreement between American officials and British officials. There may be disagreement between American officials and Israeli officials, but let's be clear about what that disagreement is. It's not as if Britain or Israel has a gotcha piece of evidence that says, look, we can prove this. Instead, what they have, they're all looking at the same evidence, and they're drawing somewhat different conclusions. Yeah. And so it's not as if there's a smoking gun where you can prove that one side is interpreting it correctly and the other is not.
Defense Secretary Robert Gates was asked very directly, is there any doubt in your mind that the newly disclosed COM facility is configured to produce nuclear weapons fuel? And he said, absolutely, it is. Now, how do you square that with the NIE assessment?
Yeah, well, I have tremendous respect for Secretary Gates, and I think he's been often the adult in the room in a lot of these policy conversations over the last many years. But he's not an intel analyst, and he doesn't really know that much about nuclear, with all due respect. We do not know how the plant is configured, and it's a sort of a curious thing to say it's configured in a certain way that could only be used to produce highly enriched uranium.
Isn't it too small for commercial use? Isn't it too small for commercial use, leaving one other option?
See, that's a different issue, Greg. There are two issues. One is the size of that facility, which has not yet completed construction, and then is the way it's configured with whatever number of centrifuges it has. Right. Now, the size argument says there's only 3,000 centrifuges in there. What else could you possibly be doing with that other than producing HEU, that is highly enriched uranium, for a bomb? But if you look at the White House talking points that were released on the day of that disclosure, it says in the White House's talking points that that facility could be used for centrifuge research and development, or it could be used for production of highly enriched uranium. Right. You know, we don't know, and we won't know until the International Atomic Energy Agency gets in there and gets a look at it. It may be that they've decided to set up lots of little plants that then bring together smaller batches of low-enriched uranium for use together in their fuel plants.
Jim,
they may be, in other words, breaking it up because they fear someone's going to attack.
In the first direct talks in Geneva, Iran allegedly promised that they're going to deliver their low-enriched uranium to countries outside Iran. You don't believe that. They're not going to do that, are they? And aren't they doing what they've always done and making vacuous, empty promises to buy time to continue developing a weapon program?
Well, I wouldn't be so quick on that one, Greg. I mean, number one, it seems odd that they would offer to do it if they weren't going to go through with it. You'll remember they offered before in 2003 to suspend enrichment for almost 2 years, and they did do that. So we'll wait and see. We have a short timeline here. They're supposed to meet within another month, the P5+1 that are meeting with Iran, those 6 countries plus Iran. If IAEA, if the International Atomic Energy Agency isn't in that plant before that meeting, they're not going to have that meeting, and they'll go to sanctions.
But Jim, Iran's ambassador
does not follow up on that promise,
the day after the Geneva promise to deliver the low-enriched uranium abroad, the Iranian ambassador to Britain, who's a member of the Iranian delegations involved in the negotiations, said, no, we're not going to do that. So, I mean, all it took was 1 day for them to reverse their stance and their promise.
Yeah, again, that's not what the government seems to be saying. But they may have changed their mind, or it may be that there's confusion within the Iranian delegation.
Yeah. He said we didn't even discuss it. I mean, I don't know how two sides can be in the same room with all of these other witnesses, and they both have diametrically opposed view of what was discussed and promised. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, the most important person in that delegation is the lead negotiator for Iran, Saeed Jalili. Yeah. And so it's really his point of view that matters most. But we'll find out. And there are two possibilities here. In the next couple of weeks, either they let the inspectors in and they begin to make progress on that commitment, or they don't. And if they don't, then they're not going to have a follow-up meeting at the end of this month, and the P5+1 will proceed with the alternative course. So, you know, it's pretty simple at this point, and we'll know fairly soon which way it's going to go.
Well, simplicity is not a simple concept. Jim Walsh, we'll leave it at that. We'll wait and see, especially when you're dealing with the Iranians. Good to see you, Jim. Thanks.